Well, 70-20-10 is an interesting beast. I always describe it as a way in which we can extend learning and improve performance. And I always tell people that you don't think about the numbers. The numbers are there, but if you focus on the numbers, you don't really understand it, because really it's a scaffolding, a framework for change. And what it says essentially is that as working adults, we learn in a number of ways. We learn through structured development, we learn through interaction with other people, maybe informal coaches, informal mentors, maybe formal structures. We learn through having a good network. There's a lot of research that shows that those people who've got good, solid networks within and outside the organisation tend to be higher performers. And lastly, we learn mostly through experience and practice. And I often say that when we look at the way adults learn and work, it comes down to four things. We learn through rich and challenging experiences. We learn through the opportunity to practice. We learn through meaningful conversations, and we learn through taking the time out for reflective practice, to reflect on what we've done and how we've done it. And I think if we look at what constitutes the pathway for a high performer in any field, it doesn't matter what sort of vertical, industry, government, whatever you're looking at, you'll find that they have 5 characteristics. They, first of all, will have mastered the basics in a structured way. So they will have had careful guidance to get the basics, to understand what's expected of them, what their job involves, what they need to do in their profession or their trade or whatever it happens to be. They'll then have had the opportunity to carry out a lot of practice under guidance. So they've had someone more experienced or a coach or a guide who's helped them through that practice. The third point I think is important is that high performers are invariably embedded in a professional community, or in the community of their trade or their profession or whatever it happens to be. That they know what others are doing, they know what good looks like, they've got the opportunity to learn from others. The fourth characteristic of a high performer is that they've got access to the right tools and the right people at the time they need them. So they have performance support at their fingertips when they need it. So if I happen to be a plumber, I can get on the phone and call up someone who can help me solve that problem right now. If I happen to be working in financial services, I know where to go to get the right answer. It really doesn't matter where you're working. And the last aspect, and this is quite a difficult one I think, is that high performers have usually had thousands and thousands of hours of practice in context of work. So 70-20-10 speaks to all of those. So it speaks to the structured development when people start off in their careers or start off in a new role or within a new organisation. It speaks to the guided support as you build your level of experience. It speaks to building networks. It speaks to having the right tools and access to the right information to do your job. And it speaks to spending lots of time in terms of practice and experience. And I don't think there's any way out of that last point. It's one of the challenges I think we have is that many people come into a new career or start to do something and they find that they can't master it quickly. And in fact, just this morning I was listening to Matthew Syed, who's written a tremendous book called Bounce about the importance of reflection, feedback and practice. Now Matthew was the British champion table tennis player for 10 years. And in fact he comes from Reading. In the one street in Reading where Matthew lived, I think there were 8 British champions living there. And the reason that there were 8 British champions living there was not because there was some sort of genetic little group there that were incredibly talented, but they had a tremendous coach and they had the only 24-hour open table tennis club in the country. So they had chance to go and practice and play competitively at a high level any time of the day or night. And I think that's really important. So 70-20-10, as I say, is simply a framework to help us think about how we develop in all those ways, whether it's experiential learning, workplace learning, whether it's social learning, learning with others and through others, or whether it's structured development through a training program or some other sort of structured intervention. And it's nothing more than that.